Henry Cavill had a ton of awkward interviews showing the ridiculous double standards of how women are permitted to talk about men. How does that make you feel? I have a friend who is like this. He is a Cavill level handsome dude, to the point that he doesn't have to do much to get people to like him or have women wanting to talk to him. But he is socially awkward at times like I am and is a geek at heart. We were at the bar one night and this really beautiful tall, blonde girl just came over randomly to talk and try and wedge her way into the conversation solely to engage with him. Then when we got up and went to the outside areas of the bar, she just kept following us around. My friend was irritated, and I was like, why? She's into you and wants to talk. Why are you trying to get away from her? And he responded, if it were the opposite way around, I would have been asked to leave and escorted out by several bouncers. She's not attractive to me. She's a creep. And it clicked with me. He was right. It said a lot about who his character is, what was wrong with what the girl was doing, and how wrong my perception about the situation was. Then you're labeled gay or married for not responding. Henry always has a face of why doesn't anyone want to talk about my Warhammer and Warcraft stuff with me or his hobbies in general. One of the YouTube comments nailed it, you could see the I skipped a day of gaming for this in his eyes. He looks like he dies a little inside every time someone makes a comment about his appearance. Meanwhile, as an out of shape person in my 30s, I've had preschoolers say around me, wow, that old man is fat. I had a class of preschoolers call a 19-year-old an old man, when you've only been alive for 4 or 5 years, 30 years old. This dude's probably gotten more unwarranted crotch grabs than the amount of unplayed games I have in my Steam library. My best friend had this issue too, and he absolutely hates it when random drunk women walk up to him when it's just a night out with the boys and just feel him up when we're at a busy bar club. Legit sexually harassing him, feeling up his junk and crap. I feel bad for him. He shrugs it off all the time like it's no big deal. I ask him too if he's good and he does show frustration but just brushes it under the rug. Now he enjoys empty bars. I probably have too, and I am not even that attractive. I just worked in the service industry. It's not just the awkwardness of putting anyone of either gender on center stage like that. People that interview this way are downplaying their actual talent and hard work as irrelevant compared to their good looks. It should really offend anyone, because it's incredibly insulting. Much like women who are often abused this way, it's obvious Cavill knows if he speaks out about it even politely, it'll affect his popularity, which in turn can harm everyone he works with. Korik blatantly insinuates this as if it's somehow a concern Cavill should have in his career. Just to chime in on this and hopefully add a bit of positivity, in a way, my girlfriend's work, tech company, had a work night out. They had a new female starter there who was fresh out of uni. She approached one of the current male employees on this night out, grabbed his crotch and told him, I'd make your dong wetter than it's ever been. Side note, her BF was also on this night out. BTW. Him being male felt uncomfortable and didn't really know what to do. Told a female colleague who then reported it to HR. HR called him in, asked him if it was true. He said it was. The girl was then promptly dismissed from the company. Her boyfriend also found out and she is now single. I'd make your dong wetter than it's ever been. IDK about that. I usually take pretty long baths. As a lifelong Superman fan, I am so happy he wore the mantle. I love Christopher Reeve's work, but Cavill is the perfect Superman to me. Too bad DC doesn't know how to make movies. LOL, imagine being at a trade conference for work and your co-worker says this crap about you completely sober. Just frickin' weird and inappropriate. In case the context is not known globally, the last comment is from the UK where wetting your pants can mean to pee from excitement. There is no way Philip was going for anything else you might be thinking of, which I feel like the video was trying to imply. Poor choice of words for sure. I didn't even think about that comment as a sexual thing. I just defaulted to the P meaning. Cavill is the GOAT introvert, and I'm always glad to see him being so human in interviews. You can tell he really doesn't wanna be there, he just wants to work and be private. If nothing else, people should appreciate that getting in shape while being an introvert doesn't necessarily make you an extrovert. I'm willing to bet that part of his discomfort comes from the fact that he's just not used to having a spotlight put on him in that respect. I'd be willing to bet he'd behave the same way if you gushed about him like that off camera. 2. For me, it's the touching. So many women find it acceptable to just touch you. Perfect example right here with women constantly touching his chest or arm. I don't understand how this is acceptable given the standards for men. Gay men and SF were really aggressive with me when I was in my 20s. It was a huge turn off. I'm not homophobic, but I'm not gay, and when someone that you're not attracted to, interested in, just comes up to you and offers sexual services, it's really disturbing. I feel bad for him in a way. I've seen a few interviews and for me, his best quality is his personality. He just seems like a genuinely nice person who knows what he's into and has a lot more about him. But he must be frustrated that the topic of his looks just gets in the way of any deeper conversation. Every time. It also makes the interviewers look bad, that they can't seem to carry any original conversation. It always has to be the same superficial things again and again. Petition to get Henry Cavill on Hot Ones. Sean Evans is an absolutely fantastic interviewer. I saw a TikTok video where a girl from my country uses footages from CCTV at her workplace to show that she's crushing hard on a customer. It's freaking crazy how the commenters supported and encouraged her behavior. I bet all his online gaming buddies don't even care that he is who he is, or that he's Superman or anything. He's just one of the brothers. He must be so relieved when he can just go home, sit in his chair, throw a headset on and game with the boys girls. If it were me in this interview, I'd have just up and left. I feel bad for him in general. Every time he's on a show with any female guest or host, they talk about his appearance and he rarely gets asked about his life, his skills or his acting. Guy gets inappropriately touched by so many women on camera that people shake it off and his face just changes from entertained to disturbed. I love real interviews with Cavill where he is free to actually provide substance rather than being paraded for his looks. It is clear that on many subjects he could talk for hours and I could honestly listen to him for hours. It is fantastic how he insists on acknowledging those who help him do what he does and he makes sure those around him get praise. It would be nice to see him getting more respect from women. As a woman, that's what I love most about him. Yeah, he's a gorgeous man, but he's also a total nerd and that is way more interesting to me than his looks. Having a celebrity talk about video games and fantasy stuff and making it sound like just a normal hobby makes the rest of us nerds feel validated and connected to Hollywood in a way that we rarely get to experience. I 100% relate to his cringes. I'm a nurse and a male. For some reason, patients and their families regularly make cringe-worthy comments to me that make me completely uncomfortable and are a handicap to developing a therapeutic relationship. I get really tired of people thinking they can say whatever they want to me all the time. I'm a human being and my eyes are up here in my head, not bulging out of my crotch. Also, don't touch me. So let me get this straight. Henry is so good looking that in order to avoid awkward ogling and compliments he chooses to stay home and play video games. Reality has jumped the shark. Double standard is an oversimplification. There is significantly less of a threat of predation when a cis-hetero woman sexually harasses a cis-hetero male and vice versa, hence why it's still socially acceptable. The Katie interview was cringe. They were talking like he wasn't there. Then she waves her hands at him asking if he worries people will only see him as attractive and not notice his good acting. The irony. You're literally dismissing his acting and only focusing on his appearance for this interview and question. Everyone needs to stop touching people and making sexual comments about other people who clearly do not want it. This is messed up. People have called me handsome and whatever since I was a kid. Despite my body dysmorphia and childhood self-loathing, I've built myself a body I can be more proud of today. But it's come at a price. I recently went through a terrible breakup of which she cheated on me after 2 years of growing as friends, and 8 great months of being romantic partners. 2 weeks before she cheated on me she asked, "Why do you love me?" After I had responded with a handful of the lovely things I could think of, I asked her the same question. She said, "Because you're hot." This has been said to me by some previous partners. I've never felt so demolished as a man with feelings and a soul. As someone who is married to a very attractive person, a pro tip for handling them is to not bring up their looks, if possible, at all. They went through the first 20-25 years of their lives being reminded of it and are well aware they would really prefer to focus on the 999,999 other facets of life that we all have to navigate. Yes, their lives get convenient in some circumstances, as evident in these interviews, but not covered at all is how the flip side is terrifying. My wife has had 2-3 stalkers in the first 20 years of her life and is permanently traumatized by seeing one of them getting the crap beaten out of him by the police. This was in India, where the cops can be thugs. We now live in the US where, never mind. Finally, as a pretty unattractive dude, I also don't need reminders that I scored the lottery. It's superfluous and patronizing. This is the guy that takes a shower and cries repeating, "Women are obsessed with me. I just want to act. Why have you punished me, Jesus?" Definitely awkward. Not sure if there is a double standard here though. Most interviews I see of Scarlett Johansson are just as cringy. Besides the creepy interviewers, I just feel like people that don't feel beautiful, or at least place a high importance on beauty, don't realize how objectifying their comments can be. I wish people would call me beautiful. Of course they won't mind if I focus on their beauty. Not sure the double standard does exist when the likes of Kate Winslet is asked constantly about her weight, or Scarlett Johansson is asked about how tight her suit was in the Marvel movies. Not excusing the behavior, but it's the nature of these interviews. And a big part of the reason these people are successful is that we find them attractive to look at. Fun fact, Kate Winslet exposed Idris Elba's foot fetish on the Graham Norton show. That's not even a joke, they did the movie together with a sex scene. And while promoting it together she told that he had asked if she could keep her socks on while filming. He got fairly uncomfortable when she brought it up. I suspect she was drunk. Ridiculous it may be, but it is also usually a clear sign of asymmetrical power. Women are permitted to voice or act in ways men are not because there is collective understanding that they lack the institutionalized power to act on threats. To use one word, there is a collective understanding that this is not possible, and it is usually processed as humor, which is a primary way we resolve social tension. We say haha, of course she isn't going to whatever. It would never be allowed possible. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.